Problem 1, exercise 12.1 in your text, is pretty much a classic case of trying to decide what costs are relevant. Here's the story they're giving us, and they tell us that this is for a yacht manufacturer, and there are two distinct cases. So we're to treat case A and case B completely separately. And we need to go through and look at case A and then case B and decide what is relevant and what is irrelevant. So let's go down the list. In case A, sales revenue. Will the revenue change in case A? This will increase company's production and sales. So the revenue will change. That means it's relevant. Because remember, if it doesn't change, it's not relevant. The increased volume. So increased volume will mean increased direct materials, direct labor, and variable overhead. They're all relevant because they're going to change. Next it says, what about the depreciation on machine B? Well, what are we going to do with 100? It says the model 100 is old. We'll continue to use it. So if we're depreciating it now, we'll depreciate it then. If we're not depreciating it now, we won't depreciate it then. That won't change. That's irrelevant. The book value of the machine will stay the same if we use it or not use it. It's not going to change, so that's irrelevant. The disposal value, again, because we're going to keep it, the disposal value is irrelevant. Then it says the next thing we need to consider is that we're going to be buying a Model 300. So the purchase price is certainly going to be relevant because we're going to be buying it. Fixed manufacturing overhead. Fixed overhead. Fixed. Irrelevant. Fixed selling expense. Fixed general admin. Okay? Well, they tell us here that the variable selling expense will go up because we're going to be using more. We're going to be selling more, so the fixed selling expense will be going up. And our general and administrative costs will be going up. And they tell us that will be large enough to require increases in fixed selling and in general admin, but not in the fixed manufacturing overhead. So that's relevant. Now let's take a look at case B. The old model machine is not the company's constraint. So that's not a binding constraint. It's not as important. But they're considering replacing it optionally because they want to with a new machine because of the potential savings in direct materials. It says nothing about revenue. The old model would be sold. So this would have no effect on production or sales other than some savings in direct materials. So, sales revenue, because we're told we're not going to have any change in sales, that's irrelevant. We're told that there'll be some savings in direct materials, so that's relevant. It says nothing at all about labor, so that's irrelevant. It says nothing about overhead, so that's irrelevant. The depreciation on the machine we're getting rid of is irrelevant. The book value is irrelevant because that's historical cost minus depreciation. The disposal value is relevant because we're going to be selling it. The market value of the new machine is relevant because we're going to be buying it. The fixed overhead, the general overhead's not going to change, so that's not relevant. And they tell us there'll be no change in production, so the selling expense and the admin will not change. So it's just a chance for you to look at a series of facts and decide among these facts which are relevant or not relevant to the decision-making process. Sometimes knowing what to consider is as important as the actual consideration itself.